So whether we find ourselves in the midst of controversy or challenge, or maybe being engaged in the civil rights movement and speaking out for something that we believe in, and there isn't always the idea of dignity on board, because our focus upon the condition gets overwhelming, it's important to remember that out of chaos comes creation. Look what happened because of the civil rights movement. So Bob Dylan sang that the wise man looking at a blade of grass, sang about the young man looking in the shadows that pass, and he sang about the poor man looking through painted glass. Whatever you're looking through or at, God or the creative intelligence is within all things. And amongst the elements of our human experience, the power and the presence of the Great Spirit is always available. Guidance comes when we consciously align ourselves within this infinite intelligence. The spiritual world contains an image of the physical world. If we think of mind as the seat of our consciousness, as the very essence of our beingness, then we can begin to understand the seen by understanding the unseen, where it came from. So mind cannot be confined to just what's inside the skull. It goes beyond the physical workings of the brain. Like the blind man breaking out of a trance, puts both hands in the pockets of chance, hoping to find a circumstance of dignity. So we're always looking for a connection with that higher power and that presence. And Reverend John Moreland from the Sun Valley Center for Spiritual Living says that God, Spirit, the divine, is a creative intelligence of perfection and wholeness that exists at the cellular level of all things. And so what you see pictured is DNA, of course. And our DNA is expanding in this moment from the original 3 strands into the 12, which is creating that crystalline bridge to the new earth. So when our little world unites with the bigger world, what we are striving for within our microcosm becomes aligned with what is in the macrocosm. And Howard Thurman, who's the author of The Inward Journey, which is what my talks are based upon this month, was a minister and co-founder of the Fellowship Church in San Francisco, which was the first fully integrated church in America. And he shares in his book 2 kinds of ideals in life that can become integrated. And those 2 ideals I'm calling this morning truth or consequences, which is the title of my talk this morning. So the consequences are the ideals that we create out of the raw materials of our experience. They come from our everyday living, the stuff we experience when we interact in the world. The stubborn realities that can become close to the heart, hard to let go because we get vested in our stories. And although we sometimes fail, they still become part of our character. Truth, on the other hand, are the ideals that are believed to be impossible, beyond anything achievable. And this is what is known as the realm of the absolute, whole, perfect, and complete, not affected by appearances or conditions. And this truth keeps alive the hope within our fairy tales. It kindles the desire for the unreal to become real. So share with me this morning one of my favorite affirmations. Everything I eat turns to health and beauty, especially chocolate. So the ideal of the truth and the consequences coming together often becomes a reality. I said that affirmation morning, noon, and night for about 2 years, and my husband came home with the newspaper, and the headline said, "Dark chocolate is good for you." The bumblebee isn't supposed to fly. The body mass is too heavy, the wings are too small. Yet it flies. So when we look deeper, the unknown can become the known. So truth or consequences, or the two ideals, can ultimately unify and outpicture as part of the one. And this overachieving idea highlights our ordinary experience. The quiet persistence within the heart, what I like to call the divine spark, fires that creative urge within us, and we begin to express something even more magnificent. And Reverend Howard Thurman, who, by the way, is a Baptist minister, so it was kind of interesting to decipher all of that into a Science of Mind message, says that we must keep alive the dream. For as long as man has a dream in his heart, he cannot lose the significance of living. So what God seeks through us ultimately guides our lives. We use the power of the mind to discover what is ours to express. And this is how God manifests through us, through that one power, that one presence, and that one mind. So all of our work begins in our own consciousness. If we think of ourselves as a center within that one mind that is receiving all of the thoughts at all times, all we really have to do is just say yes. So the inward journey is about setting aside the ego and inviting in our intuitive nature. Then a greater vision of what is possible can become our reality. So instead of trying to micromanage the universe, forcing what we think we want, it's better to surrender, to allow the divine to move through us. And then that emerges as a more authentic vision of what our true purpose is. Whenever we feed upon the familiar, or we settle for something, the monotony dims the light of life. And disconnecting from the material world offers a unique freedom. When I tell people that I haven't seen television for 12 years, most people gasp. They just can't believe it. But I created an affirmation many, many moons ago, and it is this: if there's anything I need to know, someone will tell me. And so I'm not exposed to the craziness in that box. I had a roommate once who used to scream at the box all day long. She listened to CNN 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I had to leave home just so I could find peace and quiet. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be informed, because we could. We should. We should be aware of what's going on. We should set intentions to better our world. We should create affirmations. But it's just important to be quiet and to listen. If we haven't yet had a demonstration in regards to our prayer, have we stopped talking long enough to get an answer? Have we communed with Mother Nature? Have we gone into prayer? Have we meditated? Have we taken the opportunity to visualize what it is we would like to create? Howard Thurman says that to be aware that God is standing beside me calls for some measure of detachment from my own personal struggle and turmoil. So the universe is a result of the self-contemplation of God. Our individual lives are the result of our own inner contemplation. So it's important to take the time to dwell upon the magnitude, the magnificence of the universe. This past Monday, I hiked with Sandy's group, the Walkers and the Talkers, and we went through Jemez and into the mountains, and we were supposed to drive through the Gilman tunnels, but because of the weather, they were closed. And so we had to get out of the car and walk through the tunnels. And many of the people that are in the group had been there before, but there were so many new things that we experienced because they had never walked through before. And when we came out the other side, we came out into a granite canyon, 3 billion years old. Just absolutely beautiful. How can you even comprehend the depth of the divine? So our truth is what we speak, whether it's silent or spoken. Our consequences are the outpicturing of those words. If we're expressing more of life, we're moving in the right direction. What we demand of life is never going to be more than what we can believe. So the journey from our own truth into our own consequences is simply the unfolding of our consciousness. What is it that is contained within our sum total of beliefs? The ultimate truth can have nothing outside of itself. It is the cause of all that is. Working consciously with the law through prayer, working intuitively with guidance through love, leads us towards the light. And love requires the release from the old ideas of how things are supposed to be. Law requires fathering a new cause of how things could be. So the only limit to our ability to demonstrate is the tendency that our thought is taking. Can we create a new mental equivalent of what we desire? Can we begin to anticipate the joy of the unexpected? Can we affirm a new idea of perfect balance? Can we declare that we are worthy of love? Are we willing to give that love? Can we reveal the wholeness that is our divine birthright? Can we be happy? Can we be creative? Can we attract in an unlimited amount of abundance? Dr. Ernest Holmes teaches us in The Science of Mind. We learn that persistent constructive thought is the greatest power known and the most effective. So nothing is real unless we make it real. If we're broke, if we don't feel well, if we're looking for a deeper loving relationship with our partner, or even if we don't have a partner, maybe we're looking for a deeper relationship with ourselves. Are we expanding the creative flow? Don't go down the rabbit hole. We've been talking about this a lot. Stop repeating the story. Because mind is all there is, all we have to do is reverse our thinking. The power of the Great Spirit is present within every struggle as well as within every success. And this is what we mean when we say the law always works, especially when it works by appearing not to work. So even in the midst of our human experience, we can be lifted up and strengthened by the presence. All we have to do is create a new belief system. Howard Thurman, if thou standest beside me, nothing can prevail against me. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. As spiritual beings having a human experience, we are first and foremost children of the Most High. And it is our divine birthright to experience balance in all 4 quadrants of health, creativity, love, and abundance. Affirm this with me. God in me, God as me, God is me. God in me, God as me, God is me. So the power and the presence is always available. It is always ready to release us from our struggle. Truth or consequences, can they come together as one? The ability to demonstrate from the belief to the thing depends upon our commitment to our own inner spiritual growth. So the science of mind is not a rose-tinted spectacle teaching. We don't make believe that everything is okay. So the question becomes, are you willing to do the work?